knitting friends, welcome to episode 42 of Last Stitch Effort. My name is Pacasha and this is my little knitting podcast, whatever vlog of all about using up my stash. And so we'll have some discussion on that today, but first off, I usually start with what I'm wearing, but I'm not actually wearing any knitwear today because I'm not. And now we'll just get to, I guess, finished objects. And this time it's a little light. I know it's been three weeks, yeah, since I podcasted last, but I only have one finished object. And that is these guys. These are the Log Cabin Socks by Anne Woodbury. And they came from a really old Melanie Phallic book called, I think it was called Handknit Holidays. And I don't ever remember seeing the book like out and about when it was released, you know, like almost maybe even 20 years ago. Yeah. But the second I saw this pattern when I signed up for Ravelry, which that was like, I think it was really early in my Ravelry days, I fell in love with the pattern. And the book was always kind of out of reach. I never saw it, whatever. The only way to get the pattern was the book. And so I found it on thrift books, and I've kind of been finding a lot of those old books that I liked back when I first started knitting on thrift books and picking those up for a few bucks. And this was one of the patterns from that, and I've kind of been in love with it for years ever since. And these I made with, okay, this is going to be a long roundabout story, but last time you may remember that I was starting the Riggies cardigan with Premier Yarns. I think it's Stitch Please is the name of the yarn, and that's just a worsted weight yarn. And then I went on and on to talk about the quality of yarn and how I really want to spend my time using quality yarns, not necessarily expensive yarns, but making sure that I'm using the right yarn for the right situation. And so I'm like, I had only had like a few rows on this pattern done. And then I was like, you know, I want to know how, you know, make sure it doesn't pill like underneath here and stuff. So I'm going to make a pair of socks because I have a ton of this yarn. This was one of the yarns that I like bought like crazy last year. And my daughter also picked a sweater out using this, so I'm like, well, I'll use it as socks and we'll see how it wears. And then I decided to change my Riggies cardigan yarn, so I pulled out those few rows, and I'm using Peace Fleece instead, which is a woolen spun yarn, and I think that will suit like the garter stitch construction of the Riggies cardigan, which I'll talk about in a minute, a little bit better. Anyway, so I'm like, well, these will be like a swatch for the Stitch Please yarn, since I was gonna use it for that cardigan, but now I'm gonna use it for my daughter's. And so I'm like, well, what's a better swatch than a pair of socks that I've always wanted to make? So I made the socks. Then I decided these would be good socks for my daughter, who I'm making a bunch of socks for in the next year. She's kind of my project this next year, is making socks, a lot of socks for her before she goes off to college or to ship to her while she's at college. I haven't decided yet. So they're really not a swatch anymore. They're just really chunky, well, worsted pair of really comfy and cozy socks. And so they're not a swatch. I'm still going to use this yarn for her sweater and any other upcoming sweaters I have, because I have several sweater quantities worth. But that's why I made these. So they didn't actually serve their intended purpose, because I was going to wear these myself. But it was still a good make. I still am so happy. Like, I've wanted to make this pattern for a long time. And I did, and it was fantastic to knit. And I plan on making another pair. So that's my finished object. But just the one, because I guess I'm kind of on a long project kick right now. And I've done like some sewing and some organization. I haven't had a whole lot of knitting time. I think, oh, I'm just like really unorganized right now. But yeah, let's move on to works in progress. Oh, I guess I do have one other finished object, sort of, to share with you. I don't know if I know I talked about this a little bit a few months ago, but I have been spinning a bunch of fiber to make a Nightshift shawl by Andrea Mowry. And I had pulled a bunch of merino out of my fiber stash because I knew that would make a nice shawl. And I don't particularly like to spin merino. I think it's a bit, I don't know. I think merino's just kind of one of those overrated things. Like, it's lovely. It's a great fiber. Wool, sheep breed, whatever. But I just get, I mean, I don't know. It's just not as much fun to spin as like some of the long wools and things like that. But anyway, I pulled out a whole bunch of, oh, I dropped one. A whole bunch of merino bumps, and I've been spinning them since, you know, a few months ago. But I finally finished all the ones I wanted to do for this shawl. And the colors will kind of fade in and out and whatever. And I think I've shown some of them before. But it's all completely spun for, and it's all washed and dropped on the floor. So that's ready to go when I'm ready to cast on my Nightshift shawl, which will be fairly soon, but I don't know. We'll talk about that in a bit too. I don't know where to put this stuff. I guess I'll just let gravity babysit for me. All right, so let's do, oh, and that was all Southern Cross Fibres, which David's no longer dyeing, and Hello Yarn. And they were all like merino, superwash merinos, merino and silk, like they were all some sort of merino like blend. And that takes care of actually a lot of merino in my fiber stash, so that's good. I also made it back into Hello Yarn Fiber Club, and that was always something that I was going to do as soon as I got that opportunity again. I've been a member, you know, a couple of times for various lengths of time, but I got back in, and so that kind of got the spinning juices flowing again. That sounds so gross. I hate that expression. Ugh. Anyway, I'm spinning again. And I'm making time to do it, and so that's another reason why I don't have a lot of finished knitting things. But I guess since we're on that, I'll go ahead and talk about what my next spin is. Right now, once again, it's a very long-term spin. I am going super fine with my singles. Excuse the crinkling. I love the crinkling because I listen to ASMR every single day. But you may not, and for that I apologize. So this is some of this collection from Southern Cross Fiber that was like a, I don't know, whatever. This color's called Flapper, and it's a BFL. And then I have 2 bumps of this, and one of them is on the wheel right now. And I've shown this before, but this has just kind of sat around for several months now. This is Hello Yarn Lanthorn, which is like an old word for lantern. I'll show you that. I don't know, can you see anything? I can't. Anyway, this is a BFL and silk blend, but I'm spinning it. Ignore my fingernails, they're disgusting. I need to redo my manicure here. It's a super thin single that I'm doing. So this is 8 ounces, 4 on each bobbin of that. And then, yeah, I'm only about halfway through the first 4 ounces of the other color, and I'm going to apply those together and hopefully get a nice big shawl. Probably the Traveler shawl is what I'm thinking, or maybe something kind of garter stitchy, just something, depending on how it ends up when I wash it and what the yardage is. I'm not going to make any huge lofty goals with that, but yeah, so that's what I've been spinning. I don't really have much to show you since it's on the wheel, but I think it'll be pretty. It's just kind of a nice like brown and it's going to be applied with these slightly more colorful cool tones. Be nice, I think. And then since it's right here, I'll just go ahead and show you. I'm going to get some of this Hello Yarn Waterweed, which is merino and tussa, like in blues. Oh. And I'm going to apply it with Teal Deer, which is a merino and silk teal color from Southern Cross Fiber. And I don't know what that's going to be yet, but I'm really looking forward to that. This just, when I was pulling out all of my merino to see how I could make this Nightshift, these two just kind of landed on top of each other, and I'm like, yeah, that needs to happen. So that'll be 1 ply of each. I like to do a 2 ply. 3 plies are fun. There's a bit of fluff flying around. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking I really want to do some more like chain plying, just because it's fun to do those color shifts. But 2 ply is nice. Works for me. Anyway, so that's the spinning section that doesn't come up very often. I'm going to throw this back here. Excuse me for a moment. All right. So my next work in progress, oh, my sock blocker was in that bag that I just threw. I was working on these last time, and I was only just to about here last time, and I finished one sock. Ignore the jingle bells. This is Nomadic Yarns Neville. I think this is the Brit Sock base, which is, I think, a BFL. I'm not sure, but it's a lovely base if Ashley still dies on it. So I've got one sock done with a jingly marker on it, and the next sock is, I just finished all the decreases, so now it's just a straight shot until I decrease again. And that's going really well. They're fun to knit. Kind of not very exciting, except when I finished the first sock and I did the Kitchener, whatever, grafting it at the toe, I just picked up the next loose end and, like, you know, did my little cast on so I don't get second sock syndrome. And I picked up from the outside of the ball. So my stripes don't match. I mean, probably nobody will notice, but that's just kind of silly. So yeah, so this one is taken from the outside of the ball. This one was from the inside of the ball. And yeah, I mean, I never match my stripy socks anyway, but to have the actual stripes in first, that's a different story altogether. So also what I wanted to show you, I'm not really sure how I'm going to use up those leftovers. They're very similar to another yarn that I have right here, which is Slime and Snails by Knitter's Nightmare. And I think at some point I'll combine those two. Sorry, this is just like a little bit from the start of another project. I think I would like to combine these two into some sort of socks somehow, because they are very similar. But in the meantime, I used a bunch of my sock scraps, almost all of my sock scraps, up in my sea glass cardigan, which I talked about in the last episode. So I don't really have a whole lot left, but the ones that I do all fit in this one Redesign bag. I got this at Farmer's Daughter. But yeah, so like all of my little bits are now in this sock bag. It has a little zippered pocket in the middle with even smaller bits that, I mean, I don't even have these counted in my stash. That's how small the little bits are. And then I have one full-size skein that'll just be a next pair of socks, whatever. Or it can go back in here. Whatever. Anyway, so kind of when I just get a moment where maybe I can't knit, or maybe I'm knitting but I can use my brain for other things. I don't have to focus or anything. And I just kind of play around with putting colors together and getting ideas for some scrap socks. And so I think I'm going to continuously keep all of my sock scraps in there. And so when I finish a full pair of socks, like of just like one color or whatever, I can immediately cast on like a scrappier pair, or maybe I do a few stripes in another color. Because I mean, some of these have significant amounts of, you know, yarn. Like this is almost another full pair of socks. I just need like enough for heels and toes or something like that. So I'm just kind of keeping them all together, and I'm making an effort to use them right away versus letting them sit around for years and years and eventually becoming a cardigan that I kind of regret making. Not bitter at all, but yeah, it's just kind of, it keeps things fresh in my mind. And I know a lot of people have a lot more sock scraps than what would fit in one little bag, but right now that's where I'm at, and it seems to be something that will keep that ball rolling so that I don't have stuff sitting around for years and years. And then maybe I can do some creative little pairings together. There's a new-ish pattern called Popinjay that I downloaded on Ravelry, and I don't have the designer's name because I literally just thought about this. But it uses a bunch of little bits, and it's like a colorwork sock. And I think that would be a fun one to kind of combine some similar colors, or, you know, vibes of colors together. Anyway, oh, my hair is very staticky. Yeah, just something, just kind of keeps things in the forefront of my mind. And right now that's important because I really, my favorite thing, as I've said many times before, is using up those little bits of scraps that just kind of get lost. And I don't know. To me, I still paid for that yarn. It's still very important yarn to me. It's not just throwaway yarn after I finish the main project. So I get a lot of value out of using those bits up. So that's the pair of socks I have on the go. They're kind of my I don't have to think project. However, this new project is such a pleasure to knit. It is so soothing, and it kind of comes in little chunks where you can knit it in the car. You like it. It is one of those miracle bomb knits, I think, where it's just so soothing to knit. I'm just really enjoying this knit, and that is my Riggies cardigan by Gudrun Johnston. And as I said before, I started this on the last podcast, or close to, you know, when I recorded that. And then I changed the yarn. So right now I'm using Peace Fleece. I have it on some barber cord, and it's not like I tied it too short, so you can't really get the full effect. But like, this is the front right piece. And so you have like this like short row shaping for the shoulder. This is like the actual top of the shoulder, and it'll get grafted to the back, that is shaped in a similar way, which is very simple. Like, you don't even have to stare at the pattern, you just go. Yeah. And then after you finish your little kind of, it's like a partial trapezoid. Anyway, oh, I'm going to show you this yarn. Isn't it cool? Yeah, this is Peace Fleece Olive Roots, and this is the DK, but it's knitting up like a worsted. It's a very poofy yarn. And then you pick up and you do kind of a garter rib border in the opposite direction, because you're going up and down, and then the hem, whatever, is regular horizontal. And so I've done the front two pieces. So this is the front edge. There will be you pick up and you knit another little thing to kind of bring it all together. But yeah, so I've got the two front pieces, and this is just an open cardigan. And I started the first of the back pieces, which is literally just garter stitch like for rows and rows and rows. It's going to be so nice to knit. Oh, I know a lot of people get bored with that, but it's like long enough that I don't really have to worry about things, but short enough that I'm not going to get bored, because it's in pieces still, and you still do have to do some short rows, and there's still like things to do, but it's broken up in a way that's like quite awesome. So anyway, that's my project that I'm working on a lot lately, and it's from this book, Grand Shetland Adventure Knits. I've talked about this so many times because I've been really excited to knit this since I got the book, and even before I actually got the book. But when I saw it on a mannequin, it really kind of sealed the deal with Jameson of Shetland. They did a trunk show at Acer in Santa Fe, and they had this on a mannequin, and it's just the cutest thing and something that I will wear all the time. So that's what I've been working on primarily. I've also gotten a few sections of my Nectar blanket done. This may even be the same section I showed you last week. Like, I just grabbed 2 pieces because I don't know which ones I've done. I just have a pile of them. And to get the size that I want, I'm going to need 63 of them. Mark went into AutoCAD. Mark does drafting, and he like charted out how many I needed to make a blanket the size that my daughter wanted. Yeah, so you knit a bunch of these and then you sew them together. And I worked on that a little bit for the last few weeks. I will be working on that for a while. What am I working on? Those are actually all of my current whips. That's all I'm working on. And I do have some things that I want to start, but I really do want to focus on those. I'm enjoying the Riggies so much, and I really would like to have it before it gets too warm here again. And I really want to finish that blanket pretty soon. And the socks, I will always have a pair of socks going. I know maybe that's not ideal for some people, like that's like you move on to the next sock right away, and I was actually discussing this with a friend yesterday, but it is kind of a soothing thing for me, and while I'm not going to like jump on the next pair of socks like immediately after I finish that one, especially because the Riggies is so good and portable to knit right now, that might be my simple traveling thing, so then I can just sit and work on that blanket when I have more focused energy to spend with knitting. But anyway, another thing I wanted to talk about are some goals. So this year, and I talked about this a little bit before, I would like to, be more intentional with what I'm making. However, I do have some actual goals that I want to work towards that kind of churn out yarn, but I'm not doing it for the sake of doing it. I sat down, I made a huge list of things that, number one, I wanted to do, that I already had the patterns and stuff, and things that I already had the yarn to do, and I was super excited to work on any of those projects. So I got that list together, and then I thought, well, my other goal is to have every bit of my yarn stash in this cabinet, instead of like a little bit over there and a little bit here. Oh, I ordered more and it's outside, and whatever. I want it all to fit nicely in here with room to spare. So like right now I have my weight, my scale thing here, and I'm able to get back in here and pick out colors. This is my color work shelf. So I'm able to get back and move things around and get to what I want. It's like this now only because I pulled out like 20 or 30 projects worth and stuck them in a plastic bin. Do you want to see the bin? I don't even know if I can pick it up. Like, it's crazy. Well, we'll start here. This is the little overflow from the bin. And these are all things I have projects planned for and ready to go. And then once this bin is empty and this is empty, I will be at a perfect amount of yarn in here. Now that doesn't mean that all of my projects have to come from this bin. They can come out of here, that's fine. It's just that this just gave me kind of a nice visual for what I wanted, and it gave me a nice pile of things to dig for first. And this is kind of a temporary thing. Like, I don't expect the bin to be out for, you know, ever. But it did kind of jumpstart that, I don't know. It just feels really good to like to see what you want and to see what you have to do to get there, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna actually get up and show you this bin because it's comical. And these are all things I've talked about a lot of these projects before too. Sorry. Okay, this is gonna be too hard to do it all. So I've got just like, this is just piled on top. And now since my hand spun fell down, it's even more of a mess. But can I pick it up? Yeah, I can pick it up. Sorry. It's full. And there's big projects in here and there's little projects in here. And like I said, it doesn't all have to be projects from this bin. It's just a metric. So there's even, like, I've already taken stuff out of here. I took out the hand spun to show you that because that's going to be a project that I cast on fairly soon when I get a little further along in all my other projects. But you know, there's things for smaller projects in here. And this doesn't even include, like, this is the one sock skein I have in here. The rest is like shawls and sweaters and like cowls. And I mean, there's little things and big things in here. But I mean, this isn't even touching my socks, which I will always be doing socks because I can't help myself. I don't have to, but I usually do make a pair of socks constantly. But it was just super exciting. Like, I'm excited about all of these projects, and I may actually, as I finish them, put them back in the bin and see how that goes. And it is going to encourage me to use up the leftovers, because when I finish, say I finish my shawl, this will be the quill shawl by Helen Stewart. When I finish these, I'm going to have leftovers, just a bit, but that's going to go back in here, and I won't want to put it back in here, so that'll kind of force me to finish up little bits and maybe pull something from here to use with those. So it's just kind of a fun little thing. I mean, I may end up shoving all of this back in there, but it was just a fun and informative exercise to do. I also don't think I can finish all of this in a year at all. And I kind of need to see that in a real tangible way so I can feel that, so that I can see, so it speaks a bit of truth into my heart and mind, if you will, where I'm like, well, actually, I don't need that sweater's quantity that is a good deal because I have, I don't know. It just makes it, it's not just a thought anymore. This is actually like physical proof that I can't knit as fast as I can buy, and I have good things that I want to use. So yeah, like this is Farmer's Daughter Confluence Cotton, and I'm going to hold it with this, which is some old Rowan Kitsilkays that I think was discontinued. I hope not. I may need another ball, but that's going to be a nebula. Excited about that. And like, this is going to be a coracle cowl by Ysolda Teague. And this is going to be the Halamede. This is a local to me alpaca yarn. This will be Halamede, which is an Ysolda Teague little shawl. This is a cowl. This is some knit picks. And this is that yarn that I used for those the cabin socks, log cabin socks. And I still have a ton of it for my daughter's sweater. Yeah. And it's just, this will be a ranunculus. This is drop spell in black. I need a black ranunculus, like it would go with so many things. And a lot of this is just still like my daughter's yarn. But yeah, like I've got so many, like this is a local Tunis, which I have never knit with before, and that's going to be a sport weight pair of socks. And then I have my yarn for my framed, ooh, I better not pull that out, it's all going to explode. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to show you, I wanted to see, it's like, I don't know, it's like making the goal, it's like making my dream happen before it happens, just with a big plastic box in front of it, keeping me from it. But a big plastic box is easier to visualize dealing with than numbers for me on a piece of paper. So that's what I did, was I just made it happen. And I'm super happy with this. I can get to things and I'm excited and I have more ideas of things I want to make, and yeah, it's all good. It's definitely kept me from even like adding yarn to carts anymore. Like I don't look at yarn hardly at all anymore. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So maybe I would help you out. Maybe if you have, you know, a goal that you want your stash to like fit in a certain container, see what fits in that container, like actually make it happen. And then see that leftover bit might help you in some way. It might give you the push that you need, or direction, or solidify your thoughts a bit. Yeah, that's it. That's all I've been doing, is just playing with yarn, and it's been nice. And this actually was like a fun way to really get a handle on my stash without it being overwhelming and making me feel guilty. This was more of a look at what I get to do versus look at what I have to do type thing. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. So I hope to talk to you soon. I would like to come back before 3 weeks. I don't know why it's 3 weeks now in between, but just things aren't moving very quickly with the projects I'm making, and also my knitting time has been taken over with other things. But I'm not complaining about that because I've been somewhat enjoying my sewing. And, you know, I've been reading a bit. That's been great. Also a lot of staring at my phone, which I'm not in love with. I would like to break that habit, wouldn't we all? But I feel kind of frozen to the news cycle lately, like a lot of Americans, and it's not healthy. And it doesn't feel good, that's for sure. So wherever you are, I hope you're safe. I hope you are loving and are feeling loved. And if you need anything from me that I can do, let me know, because I would love to do it. Love you guys so much. And yeah, that's it. I'll just let you go because I'm just mumbling now. Anyway, take care. Love you guys. Bye.